Greetings, this is the UT opponent analysis of the South Carolina Gamecocks on Vince's View, powered by Jim Styles CPA. I'm Vince Ferrara, thanks for watching. We, each week, get you ready for Tennessee's opponent. We're doing it with South Carolina, and we're doing it here at Jim Styles' office at 8930 Cross Park Drive, Suite 3 in West Knoxville. And their personal service here, customer service, absolutely second to none. And whether it's new business bookkeeping, financial statements, or tax returns, those of you that got extensions on your tax returns for this year, the deadline is Monday, October 16th. So let Jim take care of you. Even if it's not for those extended tax returns for that deadline, start thinking about next year. It's going to be time to get that situated here real soon. So let him take care of you. 694-4484 or jimstylescpa.com. South Carolina comes into Neyland Stadium this Saturday, new kickoff at 4-2, 2-2 in the SEC, coming off of a very impressive blowout win over Arkansas, 48-22, where South Carolina's defense scored 3 times in that game. In fact, ugly stat here, South Carolina's defense in the second half against Arkansas has scored more points than Tennessee total the last 2 games combined. That outlines, obviously, how South Carolina's defense is playing right now. It also outlines the massive struggles for Tennessee on offense. And we'll get to that. It's got to be much better for Tennessee. Will Muschamp has had a ton of success against Tennessee, as many of you know, 5-0, and he's done it with some flawed teams as well, including last year. A very disappointing loss for Tennessee at South Carolina, 24-21, that really derailed Tennessee's chances to win the SEC East. That was a game that sent the season south for the Volunteers in terms of their preseason expectations. And that was the coming out party for their quarterback, Jake Bentley. He was a true freshman that was supposed to be a high school senior, had a great game in South Carolina. Really their fortunes and their future changed in that game with Jake Bentley's performance. Bentley has continued to play well this year. He's third in the SEC in passing touchdowns with 12, third in passing yards per game. He is really good. He's got an it factor. He's a coach's son, strong arm, can make all the throws, and he's elusive in the pocket too, where he's able to make something out of nothing when things break down, and he's always looking to throw down the field. Now, he'll try to do too much from time to time. When South Carolina can't run the ball, he'll try to put the team on his shoulders, maybe force some throws. He has 4 interceptions, but you'll take that turnover, that touchdown to interception ratio of 3-1 with 12 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Now, South Carolina has struggled to run the ball this year. Their leading rusher is Tyson Williams, who's a North Carolina transfer. He's only averaging 47 yards per game rushing, but 5.7 per carry. He's really quick, good change of directions, and is a guy that can take it to the house if he gets an opportunity. He just hasn't had as many opportunities. Another factor is the offensive line, where South Carolina was missing 3 starters in the impressive win over Arkansas. They're expected to get at least 2 of those starting offensive linemen back, maybe even 3. South Carolina has some weapons on the outside too. One of them is Brian Edwards, who's a 6'3" receiver, really talented, great on jump balls. And the other is an NFL tight end in Hayden Hurst, who is a former baseball player, and he will line up outside. They'll use him basically as a wide receiver, and he's a threat all over the field. They even use him on some jet sweeps as well. So that's going to be tough for Tennessee to have to go up against, and maybe the toughest pass offense that Tennessee has faced to this point. And that's without even Deebo Samuel, who was their best weapon, their best threat. Samuel is out for the year, but he had 6 touchdowns in their first 3 games of the year, a dangerous kick returner as well. Bob Shoop, Tennessee DC, even said this week that, hey, I'm not going to cry a river that Samuel isn't there because he is a really good player. South Carolina is definitely a threat on offense. Now, defensively, South Carolina has improved. Will Muschamp has got that unit playing much better. They're still giving up yards, but not as many points. They're doing better in the red zone. They're turning teams over. Only 21 points allowed per game for South Carolina on defense. Really good linebacker in Sky Moore, who missed all of last year due to injury, and he's come back in as good a form as he was before. South Carolina also has a true freshman nickel cornerback who was a high 4-star recruit. His name is Jamias Williams, and he'll be matched up in the slot opposite Tennessee wide receiver Brandon Johnson. So that nickel slot receiver matchup of Brandon Johnson and Jamias Williams, who has really good ball skills, going to be very interesting, a very important matchup in this game. Now, on special teams, I think that favors Tennessee. South Carolina is even worse than Tennessee in field goal kicking this year. They're 5 of 14 in field goal attempts, so we'll see if that ends up being a factor in a close game at Neyland Stadium on Saturday. And then there's some connections between these two teams, a lot of familiarity. Tennessee has 5 players that have former either high school or JUCO teammates on the South Carolina team. Robert Gillespie, Tennessee running backs coach, was a one-time assistant at South Carolina. And then there's some familiarity on that South Carolina staff to Tennessee. Kurt Roper, Pat Washington, Lance Thompson, all one-time assistants at Tennessee. And then, get this, VFL Corey Miller is an assistant strength and conditioning coach with the Gamecocks. So a lot of familiarity between these two sides. Obviously, this is a massive game for Tennessee and for Butch Jones to try to quiet some of the criticism and outrage right now with the way things are going. If Tennessee loses this game to South Carolina, if the attendance isn't good, and then you follow that up with a game against number 1 Alabama next week, it's going to get even uglier. And then you're looking at maybe a 6-6 season the rest of the way if Tennessee can't win this game. Now, if Tennessee does win this game, then you're still on track to potentially be as good, if not better, than what some of the realistic preseason win total expectations were for you. Now, I know for some of you that's still not good enough. It's quality of play. And it's also, for a lot of fans, it's not winning championships and not performing better in conference and against good teams. There's some favorable numbers and overall win totals that have been thrown out there, but the conference record and the records against good teams, that's not been a strong suit under Butch Jones. They're 14-20 in SEC play, only 8-9 in home SEC games, and then 13-18 against teams 500 or above at the time that they played. So there's still some numbers that have to improve. And if you're going to do that, if you're going to salvage this season and maybe get some people back supporting the program and not giving up on this year, you got to get this game. And it'd be nice to look good and play their best game and show that they made improvement coming out of the bye week as well. Now, keys to the game. 1, offense. Tennessee has not had success when they can't run the ball, and they're not good on offense under Butch Jones. 0-7 when they rush for 100 yards or less. 1-10 in games under Butch Jones at Tennessee where they have 300 yards or less of total offense. They had the bye week, whether it's personnel, whether it's schemes, pace, whatever. They have got to find ways, especially against South Carolina's defense, to get better and score some points and get in the end zone and not have the red zone be an issue for you as well. So offense is key number 1. 2, turnover margin. Tennessee obviously has been turning the ball over way too much. -4 in turnover margin. South Carolina +7. So you cannot lose that battle and win this game. Another one for Tennessee that I think is important is a fast start. Tennessee has only scored 14 points in the first quarter this year. You cannot play from behind, give up on the run game, and expect to win. And then on the flip side, if Tennessee can jump out a couple scores on South Carolina, maybe they do give up on the run game, and Jake Bentley maybe forces some throws. They're playing more one-dimensional, trying to catch up. So I think a fast start is important in this game. And then Tennessee's run defense is going to be very important. Look, I'm not one that made as big a deal about Tennessee slowing Georgia down in rush defense in the first quarter and a half. Georgia was willing to throw the ball, and they were terrific. Georgia was running the ball against Tennessee over 4 quarters. Football's a 4-quarter game. You can't just take one part of it and say, oh, look, we played well, except for this. No, in order to show that you are an improving rush defense, you got to do it over a full game, over 4 quarters, and Tennessee has not been able to do that. The numbers are not in Tennessee's favor. 123rd in the nation in rush defense. South Carolina struggled running the ball. They're 121st in the nation in run offense. But if you give up big runs and a lot of yards against South Carolina, it's going to open up their play action. They're going to bust some big plays in the pass game, and that's going to make them even more difficult to defend. So the run defense has to be the best it has been all year long for Tennessee. All right, that's our UT opponent analysis of the South Carolina Gamecocks. Very important game. And don't forget, contact Jim Styles. He sponsors Vince's View, powered by Jim Styles CPA on our website. Be sure to check that out. Contact him, 694-4484. Don't forget about those tax returns, whether it's for the extended deadline, with extended tax return deadline, which is on October 16th, or to get you ready for next year's taxes as well. And find them at jimstylescpa.com. And then go to the website, sportsradiownml.com. We'll have SEC football predictions, doing pretty good in that record. Check that out. Take a look at that. And then also we'll do NFL picks, VFLs in the NFL, and much more at sportsradiownml.com. You guys enjoy the game. We'll talk to you next week as we'll look ahead to the number one team in the country, the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm Vince Ferrara. Thanks so much for watching here on our UT Opponent Analysis.